All right, this is Rick's Corner, and I have Eddie Giuliani, and this is going to be the second part from the first one you saw because he was so interesting and so fun, and you guys asked for more, so I got more, and here he is. Look at this, sitting in front of the gym. Still sitting in front of Gold's Gym 50 years.
Yeah, 50 years. 50 years later, still waiting for Joe Gold, whose birthday was yesterday.
Oh, that's right.
Joe Gold's birthday was yesterday. 88. He would have been 88.
88.
Yeah, he's with Zabo now.
That's right. Well, there's a lot of them up there right now, a lot of our old friends.
Well, don't say up.
No.
You don't have to say up.
They could be over there.
They could be somewhere.
Let me ask you a question. I'm curious about something because I talked to Larry Scott, said he'd give me an interview, and now when we were training at Gold's here in Venice, and then we had Geronda's Gym in the Valley. That was a whole different group of people. That's like a high school. That's like a high school rivalry, for example. They had their own way of training, right?
Yes, they did.
And what was that? How did they train compared to us?
Well, first of all, Vince didn't really believe in a lot of things that were basic that everybody did, like squats.
Right.
He didn't really believe in heavy squats, and so he liked his rules to be obeyed in his gym, and if not, he didn't really go over too big. So he had his own way of doing things. He was more not on the bulked up body. He was more on the symmetrical body. So he didn't push too much on heavy iron.
Right.
Like we did on his side. We were more brawny here.
Right.
He was more I don't want to say theatrical. He was more athletic.
Aesthetically pleasing bodies.
That's right. That's what he was.
That's an awfully big word for us.
Yes.
Well,
right.
we had Larry Scott, Don Hallworth, Bill McCardle.
Yes.
There's another guy, Steve.
Steve Zinn? No. He had Steve Reno.
Steve Reno, that's what I'm thinking of. Steve Reno.
Yeah, Steve Reno. We got it.
Now, all those guys had great bodies.
Yeah, I think even Johnny Baylor trained there for a while.
Oh, did he?
I think so. I'm not sure, yeah.
Well, it seemed like to me that none of those guys ever crossed over to Venice to train with us. They always stayed in the Valley.
Well, you got to remember now, they've lived in the Valley, too,
right.
Most of them. And, he had a lot of theatrical people, too, that lived in the Valley.
A lot of big names.
A lot of big names that worked the movie business.
Movie stars.
Yes, movie stars.
Bill Smith.
Bill Smith was one of them.
Clint Eastwood.
Yes, I was told. The Beretta.
Oh, Robert Blake.
Robert Blake.
That's right, Robert Blake.
So all these guys that lived in the Valley trained there. And,
right.
Did you ever see the place?
Oh, yeah, I trained there.
All right, so it wasn't a huge place. It wasn't a real big, sprawling gym, but it had a homey atmosphere, right?
It did. It was very small.
Yeah.
All the benches were wood. He made his own stuff.
Yeah.
He had his own technique, and he was a crotchety old guy. If he didn't like you, he kicked you out. Right. Not unlike Joe Gold, who would do the same thing.
Right. Now, and also, he lived. Did he live upstairs?
He lived upstairs.
Okay, so you see, he lived and he worked in this little area. And if you think of all the bodybuilders that we knew when we were coming up, when we basically had nothing but the iron,
right.
Nobody had any money. Nobody really went far away. You hung around the area where the gym was.
Yeah.
So you lived where the gym was, the beach was where you stayed, you eat, everything was in the gym. Was sort of.
That was the center hub.
Yes, it was the hub. So the people that stayed in the valley stayed in the valley, and every once in a while, one of them would come here for something. Everybody, whoa, wow! It was like they came in from North Carolina.
Exactly, and it's only 15 minutes away.
Yeah.
So there were some guys that went back and forth and trained at Vince's once in a while.
Yeah.
I went there. I didn't really care for it. It wasn't my cup of tea. And like you said, I don't know. It just the atmosphere was different. It's like you can come here to Los Angeles, go from Sherman Oaks to Encino, and you have a whole different group of people, and it's only a mile difference. You go to North Hollywood, it's a mile difference. It's a different people. And these guys were in North Hollywood. There's just a mentality. Charlie Faust trained there.
Oh, yes.
Chuck Faust. And
That's right.
These guys, I'd see them at contests, and they were all good guys, but it's almost like going East High, West High. You had West High School, East High School. They were a different thing. They didn't have any animosity towards one another. It's just the way it was.
Okay, not to teach you your business, because you've been around, how long? About 100 years you've been doing this?
101.
101 years. Remember that Joe Weider, who controlled this whole thing in that magazine, and
right.
Everybody would kill to be on the cover, including me. Everybody. In other words, you would say he didn't favor that gym for some reason.
No.
He was mostly on the west side, right?
I don't think he ever went into that gym. He did all of his shooting down here at Gold's and on the beach.
Right. Exactly. So, I mean, this was the place, if you wanted to get into the magazine, this is where you were.
Well, let's talk about that for a minute, because when I lived in Bakersfield, I saw the magazines, and I moved here in '69 and joined the gym, and all of a sudden, all the guys you see in the magazines become your best friends. This is the way it worked out. We had a group of people, and we all hung out together. And these are people that were stars in bodybuilding magazines. Like the people that watch this show say, God, I only want to go to the West Coast to meet all those guys. Well, we did. We lived it.
Yes.
And that's a one-time opportunity.
Yes.
It'll never be that way again.
No.
Never.
And you got to remember, and you remember this, that under that one roof on Pacific, the original Gold's Gym, was the greatest talent ever, and that congregated at one time under that one roof. They all came from all over, from the East Coast, from Europe, from all over. Everybody came here because it was that magic place, right?
I think that airplane's going to drop a bottle of protein on us.
I hope it's Weider.
Yeah, me too. Well, that's the other thing. Joe Weider ran the magazine. Joe Weider's bigger than life person with all the bodybuilding magazines.
Yes.
But Joe was a normal guy who came to the gym, trained with us, and took us to lunch.
Yep.
He was part of the deal.
Yes, he was.
And I'd see him come in the gym.
Would you say he was totally in love with bodybuilding?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why it worked.
It was a passion.
Yeah, it was totally a passion.
Even in the magazine, he was hands-on in the art department, here, there. He did everything himself. Even though he had 80 employees, he had to oversee everything.
Exactly. He was totally, whatever you say about him, and everybody has wrong and rights.
Right.
He was totally obsessed with it, and he loved it. It was a passion for him. He loved it. He would have probably loved to get on stage and win shows when he was young, but it never happened.
Well, I still plan on going out and seeing him and interviewing him.
Oh, wow, that would be great.
Yeah, I think it'd be really good.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
But I saw him walking to the gym one day, and I've said this before, and he picked up the 65-pound dumbbells and started curling them.
Oh, yeah.
Cold.
Oh, yeah.
Where the hell did you get that strength?
Oh,
He
yeah.
didn't look like it.
Oh, I trained with him a few times. I trained with him in the Henry Hudson Hotel many times in New York when he ran the shows back in New York. All the shows were done in New York then, in the Brooklyn Academy of Music. And everybody went back there once a year to all the big shows, the America, the World, the Olympia. Everything was held back there.
Yeah, I know.
In the Brooklyn Academy of Music. Then it's moved now. Now it's all in Vegas, but well liked.
Well, we had a lot of strange characters. I remember Steve Neese, Moby Dick.
Moby Dick.
And he had to wear 2 wallets to make it look like he had an ass because he was so flat, but
Yes.
big, broad shoulders.
Moby Dick.
Come in the gym with this
Look
big...
at the name.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And he'd come in the gym and he'd pick his nose on the bench and then fall off of it. And then he tried to get into wrestling and went up to Stu Hart's in Canada, tripped over his own feet, and that was the end of that.
Oh.
I think he passed away.
Yes, he did. I heard he did. I heard he passed away. Moby Dick. Look at the names we had. We had some great
Well,
nicknames.
yeah, everybody had a nickname. Seymour was a snail.
Seymour was a snail.
Bug-eyed Louie,
Zabo was the chief.
the chief.
The chief.
Bugsy Siegel. Remember Bugsy?
Was there a nickname for Bugsy?
Well, it was Bugsy because his real name was Ben.
That's right. So it was Bugsy.
But he used to drink vodka and milk.
Ken Waller was Red.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. And let me see. We know Franco Colombo was the Sicilian Samson.
That's right.
The Sicilian Samson.
One of the
No, the Sardinian.
Sardinian.
Excuse me.
Sardinian. That's
Excuse
right.
me. Oh,
And Arnold
I
was always...
correct myself. The
Arnold was
Sardinian
always,
Samson.
Arnold was always known as the Oak.
The Oak.
Yeah.
Arnold was the Oak. Yep. Dave Draper was the blonde bomber.
Yeah.
Yeah. God almighty. What names?
Now, Joe built all that equipment in his garage.
Yes, he did. He had
Piece by
He had
piece.
a 2-car garage at home in Venice here, and he built the stuff out of a garage which is probably unheard of today.
Yeah.
How he did it, and that was another one, dedicated, and I mean, he was just in it for the love, and it was in his heart to do it.
It was the best equipment I've ever used.
Well, he was an innovator.
Yeah.
He was the first guy to do heavy duty equipment in this business. Of course, now the machines today are wonderful.
Right.
But no one had that foresight to do huge, large pulleys. No one had the foresight to use the steel, the gauges that he used, that the benches wouldn't shake when you.
Right.
And his
Right.
dumbbells, the handles.
The handles. I always
the
talk
handles
about
were
that.
$1 million handles.
Yeah, those handles I've never seen anywhere. Today they're thin, they're thick, they don't grip your hand properly.
Right.
And those dumbbells, you could lift quite a bit of amount of weight but not even feel it.
I remember when he used to build some machines, he used to call me over to come over to the little house where he lived and see if I would be comfortable in the machine. And then if it did work, then the next day he would get, say, Arnold, because now Arnold was the other extreme, big. And Arnold would come in and see if it would fit him. So he was just dedicated on it. He was just unbelievable.
Yeah.